Hi there. As many of you know, my name is Lou Ellen and I am an abuse survivor. So let me do a disclaimer before I go into what I'm going to talk about. So, my disclaimer: I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose nor can I prescribe medications. I am not perfect. I am a child of God and I do believe in God. And all these videos that I've been doing is basically to try and help people deal with abuse situations and what they can do. Journaling is like my big number one. All right, so tonight I want to talk about one of the things that I've gone through with my first marriage of being abused. And it involves my children when they were 2, 3, and 5. My 2-year-old had just turned 2, so it was like towards the end of May. My 3-year-old was a month shy from being 4, and my 5-year-old was 4 months shy of being 6, so they were still little. Um, that day that I'm referring to at this time, um, it was in 1994. My first husband and I had a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1.5 bath, I think. Absolutely gorgeous. It had a living room, a dining room, a kitchen. It had a bedroom downstairs with half a bath downstairs. Upstairs, it had 3 bedrooms and a whole bath upstairs. Then there was the attic even up higher than that. I didn't really go in the attic that much because that was his man cave, which back then there wasn't called man caves. And in the attic, he had his best friend staying with us, and I'm going to call him Lucky Dog because that was his nickname. Well, Lucky Dog ended up meeting a woman who was in an abusive relationship, and he wanted to get her out. Well, I was the only driver, and guess what? I was the only one with a car. So back in 94, my husband says, go ahead and take both of them, help her pack, and come back as quickly as you can. Okay, fine, no problem. Well, she had contacted her son, which was either just a little bit younger than me or a little bit older. I can't remember, roughly around my age. And him and I were talking, and like most kids, I don't care what age you are, you really don't want your parents to separate. You don't understand what's going on, and you're just like deer in the headlight look, right? We're all confused. Why is this happening with our parents? And so I reached over and I touched his shoulder. I reached over to touch his shoulder and I said, I'm so sorry you're going through that. And he would be telling me about the wonderful memories that he had of his parents. And some of them were pretty funny. And so I'd be laughing as I'm helping them pack up and go. I didn't think anything of it. Got them back home, made dinner, got the kids to bed after bathed the 2 oldest ones, got them to bed, bathed the baby, did them all together actually. Got the 2 older ones to bed, and the younger one, I was waiting because she sleeps with her older sister to get her to sleep. They share the same room. And so I had her downstairs with me. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm rocking her, and I had her in my hands, and she finally fell asleep. And I mean, finally fell asleep. And so I looked at my husband, and it's probably 9:30 at night, I want to say. So I reached my hand up and I says, "Hey, can you help me off the couch?" Because when you have a baby, and mind you, I was almost 300 pounds anyway, right? So when you have a baby and you're trying to get off a low couch, it's not easy to do, let me tell you. So I put my hand up to have him help me. And he took my hand and he twisted it behind my back. Mind you, I still have the baby. And he starts hitting me in the head and he starts hitting me in the back. And he's pounding on me and he's hitting me and he's hitting me and he's hitting me. And I'm trying really hard to take this baby that's in my arm here with my one arm back to turn on the couch to lay her down so that way she does not get accidentally hit. So I finally get her laid down and he lets go of me. And I know from past experiences that I cannot cry out. I can't make a noise. Any noise I make, the beating is worse. Um, so I have no idea why he's hitting me by this time. No clue. And I don't know. I'm trying to ask him what I do, what happened, but I know better than to talk because the pounding keeps coming and coming. My shoulders, my back, my low back. I mean, it's very close to my buttocks. He's hitting me and hitting me. It seems like forever. he finally let go of my arm so he can hit me with both hands. And so I put both my hands over my baby, and I kind of get up my hands and knees so that way I'm not on her, but I'm kind of protecting her so that way she doesn't get hit at all. I've He hit me so hard that I've got a black eye and I've got blood coming down my face and sweat and blood, and I can't see. And I look up and there's the stairs, and there's my 3-year-old and 5-year-old watching. I'm not supposed to make a noise because if I do, I'm afraid he's going to go after my children, his children. And so all I can do is gasp. And he noticed the change in me, and he stopped hitting me, and he looked up and he saw the kids and he told them to get the F to bed. He helps me up off the couch. The baby's still on the couch. He looks at me and he says, "You will never be with another man again, or I'll just kill you myself." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What man?" And then it came out that Lucky Dog had told him that I was laughing with this other man and that I had touched him on his shoulder. He never asked me what had happened. He just assumed that I was flirting or that I was going to cheat on him. I honestly don't know what was going through his head. He'd been drinking all day, so that didn't help any. And so he helped me off the couch and he told me to get myself cleaned up and get all the kids to bed. So I cleaned myself up, still crying because it hurts. I mean, it hurt to move. It hurt to breathe. I felt like this weight was just crushing me to breathe. And I go up the stairs with the baby after I, get her off the couch. I go upstairs with the baby, take her upstairs, and I get all the kids to bed and I kiss them and I told them it's okay. Mommy's okay. Mommy loves you. Just like any abused parent would, you're okay. Daddy's just mad. It's okay. First of all, no, it's not okay. I should have left right then and there, but I didn't know half the stuff that I know now. Didn't know the damage that it would do to my 3 young children. So I get them to bed, and he tells me to get in the room, and I get in there, and he tells me to go to bed. So I'm getting ready. I take my pants off, and I'm getting ready to take my t-shirt off, and I don't know about you, but I go down like this, and I come up. Well, when I came up, when I brought my arms up to bring the t-shirt over my head to take it off, he had grabbed my arms with the t-shirt, with my arms on the t-shirt so I couldn't move. And he really held the shirt tight back here. Um, Sorry. So everything was just pressed really tight against my face. And I felt like I couldn't breathe. You always hear of people freezing or running or, what's that? Flight, fight, or freeze. I froze. I froze. I couldn't move. He had told me that I was never to look at another man or talk to another man, or he would end my life as well as my children's. And yes, he did say your children, not our children. He clearly said your children. Um, so he threw me on the bed, still with my arms up, and he's pressing down on me. I'm laying on my stomach, and he has his way with me. And back then, I didn't know that there was a such thing as RAPE from a husband. I just thought, we're married, he has rights. I didn't know that I, could say no. And he hurt me. Um, when he did that, he was very rough. Um, I can still feel it, still remember as clear as day. His friend Lucky Dog said the next morning that he heard everything, but he wasn't coming down. So much for protecting women that are in abusive situations, right? So, fast forward to all these years later, and I can't have shirts close to my neck. They have to, have kind of a loose neck down here. No turtlenecks, can't wear those. I can't wear a mask. I can't wear, I'm not talking a plastic mask, so I can't wear that anyways. I can't wear like a surgical mask, like we had to for COVID. I can't wear that. It will just throw me back into that time. I am in counseling to work through stuff like that. And I still cringe to this day when my current wonderful, loving, supportive husband wants to rub my shoulders, and I cringe. And then I have to remember where I'm at and try to relax, even though I don't really relax. Um, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to talk about. Sometimes it's hard to relive it. But what really hurts the most for me is that my children witnessed it. They saw that. They may not remember, but their body does. My oldest daughter does not like confrontation at all. Does not like it. She's like, mm-mm, don't yell at me. She'll shut right down. My son, he got violent to the point where he hit me when he was like 16, called me some bad names. Um, to this day, he avoids me pretty much a lot. So I don't see him, his wife, or his two daughters, except for mainly holidays or birthdays. No phone calls. So he's affected by it too. Um, and my youngest daughter, her first marriage was to an abusive man. And it affects her today. And again, I don't think they fully remember what happened with me because I think their brain is protecting them in that aspect, but their body remembers. Um, no one fully heals. And I mean fully, you can never fully heal from being abused, whether it's physical, mental, whatever. You just don't. The physical part, yeah, your body will heal, but you'll still remember. I I vowed I'd never do that again. I was married to him at that time for like 6 years. I stayed with him for another 7. Why? Because I was so brainwashed and so scared of losing my kids that I stayed. He would always threaten that he would do harm to my children, make sure that they were no longer alive, as well as myself. Towards the end, he would make sure that to tell me that he would do the deed and then himself as well, and then make it look like that I had done it. Kind of like what's what I'm looking for? Um, Blaming me, setting it up to make it look like I'd done, the kids and him. So I didn't leave. I stayed. I was scared. He would do all the cooking and cleaning. I couldn't do any of that. So that was another kind of abuse because he would always use it against me. Well, you don't know how to cook or clean, so you can't take care of the kids, so you can't leave me. Because if you leave without the kids because you're an unfit mother. You can't cook or clean. You can't take care of your kids. And he was right. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to clean. Heck, he took all the money. I had a job. He took all the money to pay all the bills. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I had no money. I didn't have a dime to my name, even though I had a job. The money directly went into the account and he took care of everything. Or so I thought. He was my husband. I was supposed to trust him, right? I didn't have friends. I didn't have anyone I could talk to. He had me so isolated from friends and family that I had no one. Absolutely no one. And of course, it was really embarrassing to tell anyone. Oh, my stars. How can you tell someone that you got a black eye because your husband hit you? Right? So I wrote poems. That was my journaling. I wrote poems. And I lived for my children back then. You don't know how many times he would tell me, you're not worthy to be on this earth. You should just end it. And you don't know how many times I thought of doing that, thinking that maybe my kids would be better off without me because I didn't know how to take care of them. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to clean. I wasn't good at helping them with homework. I didn't even do laundry. He did it all. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. Um, it was a very scary time being married to him for 13 years and going through all that. Very scary. So, what do I do now? I'm in counseling. I talk about this stuff in counseling and say, my body remembers. Okay, I didn't know my body remembers. She told me that my body remembers. So, I'm telling you, my body remembers. I had no clue. None. I mean, I knew about the shirts because I can't have anything around my neck. I can't have anything material wise. I just doing something like that. I can't do it. It just doesn't sit right with me. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, telling them to get out is not a good thing because 9 times out of 10, their significant other that they're with is probably telling them they just want to separate us. They just want to break up our family. They're no good. They're this, they're that, stuff like that. That's what mine told me. That my friends and family are just trying to separate us, that I don't need anyone but him because he loves me unconditionally and no one else will ever love a fat woman like that. Because, God forbid I look like a cow being 300 pounds and having children. No one's going to love you. You're not even pretty. You're lucky that I love you, he told me. That's what he would tell me. So I stayed because who else is going to love me? Why would anyone love me with 3 children and as fat as I was? I still have those issues in my head that I'm unlovable, that I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. And I have to fight those demons. I mean, granted, I'm just an average looking person, right? I'm one of those faces in the crowd that wouldn't be recognized later on unless you actually knew me. Those cop shows where they try and describe, a 6 foot, I don't know, he's just an average looking person, right? That's me, just an average fat girl. Yeah. So I do have ants in my head, the automating negative thought syndromes. Oh, big time. And I probably always will. And I will probably always need to hear my husband say that he loves me. and that to him I'm beautiful, even though I don't believe it. Shh, don't tell him. It is nice to hear, though. So that's one of my stories. Um, if you have questions, put them in the comments. If there's something else you want to hear, like from my childhood or something like that, there's that too. You can even buy the book on Amazon called Abuse. It is what it is. I put my story out there. And granted, not everything is in there because I was afraid that my children would read about some of the stuff and they don't even watch my videos, which thank God, I'm glad they don't. Because I really don't want them to know that I didn't know any better to protect my kids. Yeah. So anyway, that's my story. If there's any questions, just put them out there and I'll answer the best that I can. All right. Thanks for watching. Remember, God loves you, and so do I.